Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So many of you might still be doing dragon hunts, and I'd like to answer the question of whether you should still be doing them, especially with module 25 just around the corner with the ability to obtain some new legendary gear. And a lot easier than dragon hunts at that, and it also has a lot more higher item level at 2000. This dragon hunt gear only has 1850, and some pieces like the armor are going to require you to do at least 100 dragon hunts, ancient ones at that, requiring an entire group. So we'll go over whether or not you should still be doing your dragon hunts every day to get your progress up to ultimately get that gear. You can see right now with like a module 23 build, I still haven't fully updated this actually to module 24. We did use a lot of this dragon hunt gear. Now with module 24, we've got like new boots, we've got new rings, but you may still very well be using a bunch of gear from dragon hunts. And then with module 25 coming, it's got this new legendary gear. For a wizard, that's these 4 pieces. Pretty easy to obtain, a bit more item level. However, be aware of the bonuses. They kind of suck. Yeah, it's got more item level and it will be easier to obtain, but the bonuses are really not great. You can have a look through the bonuses themselves, and there's not many pieces I would take that's going to compete in any way with what you could get from dragon hunt gear. And right now you can see I've made like a document where I covered most of this gear along with other gear where I've gone through like the best in slot stuff right here. So you can see the different head pieces, 2 of which are from dragon hunts. You can see the armor pieces, 4 of which are from dragon hunts. And so will there be any new gear that's gonna like replace that stuff? Well, you may have seen already, I went through the module, I went through the different gear options, and again, just checking that legendary gear, you can see it's pretty much just stepping stone gear. 1 or 2 pieces are good. Like for the wizard, they're all pretty garbage. You can get better stuff just from dragon hunts. Then for your rogue, cleric, bard, and ranger, you can see it's also pretty bad. But they do at least have a helmet, which is going to compete with, let's say, the dashing helmet if you wanted to. That's nothing to do with the dragon hunt gear though, as that was back with module 24 where we got that option. Armor piece, nah, not gonna. Arms and feet, not either. Then for like your warlock and your bard, yes, having a bunch of performance and soul weave and divinity regen on this headpiece is going to be probably better than what you might get with dragon hunt's gear. And especially this armor, creating an aura where you reduce the enemy's stats, is going to be something very much sought after for a warlock and a bard. You might even want to run this on a DPS warlock. But the rest of the options I don't see as going to compete with anything from dragon hunts. Like just looking throughout everything. Maybe you could take this headpiece where you get a bunch of action point gain at the start of a fight for AoE, for a barbarian and a fighter. Might be useful for more daily powers, but really, this is just stepping stone gear that you're only going to use when you don't really have any other option to use. When you're just going from like your seals gear that you might have got from doing your random queues. You get that seals gear again just... yeah, with these seals. You get your seals of the dragon with all of this dragon hide stuff. And again, none of this is great either. It's all just stepping stone stuff. Yeah, okay, the helmet you can use within dragon hunts. That's about it. And then the seals of the north gear as well. It's all just stepping stone meh gear. You're still going to have like your best in slot pants from dragon hunts. Yes, we might replace the shirt, but that originally came from Dragonbow and Veil. We might replace that shirt with one of these shirts where it gives us a bunch of damage against spiders and drow. There we go for Temple of the Spider, but that's it. Otherwise, we will still want to stick with like our 5% combat advantage shirt. However, with that legendary stuff aside, there is also the ability to like upgrade Dark Maiden's gear. And on my wizard, you may see like I do run the Dark Maiden's armor piece in Underdark content when I am not running solo content, because you need to attack from behind the enemy. So this is decent. This is okay option for like again, your dungeons and so on. And being able to then upgrade that, yes, only giving it 1% more damage, but then doubled in Underdark to 2% more damage is going to be viable. And same with the headpiece. But this is stuff that we could get, again, with Module 24. So Module 25 is not going to change any of that. It'll let you upgrade this stuff. That's about it. The legendary stuff is pretty garbage, other than the armor piece for like bards and warlocks. For everybody else, pretty terrible. And then you're going to have, yes, a bunch of new shirts and pants, but none of them are too great either. Like a bunch of movement speed in Underdark, meh. A bunch of action points and doubled in Mensa Branson, I don't really see as all too viable. Maybe if you're running an action point gain build, but you won't do that for like boss fights. And then, yeah, I don't see as any of these being too great other than the shirt, extra damage with an MTOS. So you might have to change your stats up a bit so that you have 5% combat advantage elsewhere. Otherwise, for endgame players, there are the new mythic rings, and these might replace what we currently have, like Illustra's Obligation and Illustra's Beauty, back from within Master Temple of the Spider. If you aren't running Master Temple of the Spider yet, then you probably have, like me, you have like the Ring of Absolution and maybe a damage ring from Dragon Hunts. You might have your 8% at-will damage or 5% encounter damage, or even your daily power damage, or the 3% damage one from there. Alternatively, if you aren't running Raptors, you could run the Red Eyes Glare. That's from Vault of Stars. Now, these new rings might only be good, but within the new trial. 10% damage against Beholders, and then 6% more damage in Underdark, which you can align the bonus for Artifact Call by dodging and about the place. But that's about it. Yes, there's one stat ring there that might be viable if you aren't using much stamina. This one here with the 6% more combat advantage. The rest of the options I don't see as too great. Like this one with 5% crit severity, you generally don't need it, especially when the ring itself also has a ton of crit severity as like ratings. Yeah, so personally, stick with your Dragon Hunts. If you haven't got to the level where you're doing Master Toss and gotten the like Dark Maiden's gear and haven't got the rings from there, then yeah, Dragon Hunts are still really good. Like right now on this build, we're still using the armor piece from Dragon Hunts. We're still using the neck, waist, and artifact from Dragon Hunts. And we still got the arms piece as well. And these boots, we're very well to switch them out to something else as well, like this one from Dragon Hunts in solo content, just because these ones don't do anything if I'm not running Master Temple of the Spider. And then you might want to switch your headpiece over to this one giving crit. It'll all depend on your build. Dragon Hunt gear is not getting outdated with Module 25. That's all I'm trying to say. You still want to make sure you go do your Dragon Hunts, get your Slayer rank up to that 100 mark, and still be trying to get this mythic gear. There's still some really good stuff there that you don't want to miss out. It's got some of the best bonuses in the game, giving you the most amount of stats. There's nothing that competes with it except one or two pieces that maybe drops, like the rings from Master Temple of the Spider again, along with like some of the Dark Maiden's gear situationally good. Okay, oh dear, I'm getting ambushed by this boss. Let's get out of here. And so you'll need to do Dragon Hunts regardless. You're not going to go and get into Master Temple of the Spider without having the Dragon Hunt gear anyway. And then the new trial coming out with, yes, some new mythic rings. You're not going to get into that trial without having like the Master Temple of the Spider rings. So yeah, it's all a stepping stone. And Dragon Hunts, you can dive into Dragon Hunts and get grinding them literally after you've hit level 20. You might be struggling to find groups unless you get like a good guild who's going to support you, and otherwise you can find friends and you can complete them together, and that is going to be the best strategy. Find people who are similar geared as you and go and work on them. You can complete them pretty much naked. What I would recommend though is like an artifact that's going to debuff the enemy, along with then working towards getting a mount combat power that's going to deal a ton of damage as a DPS. or as a support, like a tank or a healer, you want to have something that's going to increase the damage your enemy takes. And then you'll do artifact calls and you'll get burst damage and you'll get through the content much smoother. Anyway, just want to lay way to any of your worries that dragon hunts might become irrelevant. Even the companion gear that you got back with the recent module, this stuff right here, that's module 24, is not getting outdated either. There's nothing that's going to replace it. The rings, yes, from Master Temple of Spider might get replaced with the new ones just for the trial for extra damage. And we might have to switch up a few things to give us some extra stats. We shall have to see. Anyway, special thank you again to all of these channel members for their continued support. And we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.